I torched the evidence of her crime with my own hands, flames licking the night sky like the devil's tongue, all to keep my twin sister's golden halo intact. At 17, they dragged me out of our sprawling Seattle suburb McMansion in the pouring rain, my mother's voice cracking like thunder. "You're the poison." Violet, not her. 15 years later, as I sip black coffee on the deck of the eco-mansion I hammered together plank by blood-soaked plank, Scarlett's text lights up my phone, "Sis. We need to talk." The house. It's family legacy. Legacy? Bitch. I am the legacy they tried to bury. That eviction wasn't just a door slamming, it was the fracture line in my soul. The kind that spiderwebs through every decision I make now. Rain hammered the driveway like God's own judgment as Dad's lawyer, some slick prick in a Burberry trench, handed me a cardboard box with my shit, a dog-eared copy of the bell jar. My sketch pad smeared with charcoal ghosts of the life I thought was mine, and a single photo of Scarlett and me at 12, arms linked, grins wide enough to fool the devil. Mom stood in the bay window, arms crossed over her silk blouse, eyes dry as the Sahara. "You did this to us."
Vi.
The fire. The lies. Scarlett's innocent. Innocent. The word tasted like battery acid even then. Scarlett had always been the sunspot in our family orbit, the one who could bat her lashes and turn chaos into charm. Born 3 minutes before me, she claimed the throne from the crib, first to crawl, first to talk, first to wrap Dad around her pinky with a dimpled smile.
Me?
I was the shadow, the fixer, the one who mopped up her messes with a rag and a prayer. That night in '09, when we were juniors at Roosevelt High, it started as a dare. Some asshole jock, Chad motherfucking Harlan, had been harassing her, cornering her in the chem lab with whispers about giving it up, or he'd spill her nudes to the whole squad. Scarlett, cornered rat that she was, confessed it over contraband Marlboros in the woods behind our house. She'd slipped a love note laced with roofies into his locker, planning to film the fallout for revenge porn gold. But it went south fast. Chad OD'd in the bathroom, puked his guts, and in the panic, she torched his car in the parking lot to cover the evidence. Flames ate the Mustang like it was kindling, sirens wailing before the ashes cooled. I found her there, soot-streaked and shaking, mascara rivers down her cheeks.
Vi.
"Please," she sobbed, clutching my hoodie like a lifeline. "They'll ruin me." Daddy's campaign, it's everything. Dad was running for state senate. All apple pie and family values. The kind of guy who posed with golden retrievers for yard signs. A daughter doping a golden boy. That'd be front-page confetti for the Seattle Times. So, I did what twins do, or what I thought we did. I confessed. Told the cops it was me, the quiet weirdo with the combat boots and Sylvia Plath vibes, pissed at Chad for rejecting my stalker ass. They bought it hook, line, and juvenile detention sinker. 6 months in juvie, a sealed record that haunted every job app. And the family? They rallied around Scarlett like she was the fucking Virgin Mary. The eviction came the day I walked out of King County lockup, reeking of bleach and regret. Dad's Escalade idled in the lot, Scarlett in the passenger seat blowing kisses through fogged glass. Mom met me at the door with a check for $500, bus fare to anywhere but here, and a hug that felt like a straitjacket. "We can't have you poisoning her future, Violet. She's got Yale early decision. You're just not the same anymore." Not the same. As if I'd ever been. I hitched to Portland that night, the check cashed at a sketchy check-cashing joint where the clerk eyed me like fresh meat. crashed on couches, waitressed at dive bars slinging PBR to loggers, learned the grind from the ground up. By 20, I'd clawed my way into community college, majoring in sustainable architecture because fuck it, buildings don't betray you. They stand. That's when the dreams started. Not the fluffy ones, but the ones where I rebuild our old house beam by beam, only to watch Scarlet light the match again. I'd wake in sweat-soaked sheets, fists clenched around phantom blueprints. Portland's rainy underbelly suited me, hipsters with trust funds nursing IPAs, tech bros fleeing Cali for authenticity. I networked like a shark, interning at a firm that specialized in net zero homes, the kind that sips solar like fine whiskey. By 25, I had my own LLC, Violet Builds, LLC. No frills, just results. Clients? Eco-wealthy retirees wanting off-grid retreats, tech execs craving rustic modern escapes. I poured every dime into a plot up in the Olympics. 50 acres of old-growth firs hugging a bluff over Hood Canal. The house? My fortress. Cedar and steel. Rainwater harvested. Geothermal heat pumping like a heartbeat. Took 3 years. Solo, hired crews when I could. Swung the hammer myself when funds dipped. It's not just a house. It's a middle finger to the eviction notice etched in my brain.
Now.
At 32, I'm staring down 40 with a 7-figure portfolio and a view that could sell postcards. Violet Builds has offices in Seattle and Portland, a waitlist 6 months deep.
And yeah,
there's a woman, Lena, sharp as a dovetail joint, with tattoos mapping her own scars, who crashes here on weekends, her laugh echoing off the vaulted ceilings like absolution. Life's not perfect, but it's mine. Until last Tuesday, when the text from Scarlet hit like a rogue wave.
Cease. We need to talk.
The house. It's family legacy. Legacy. The word curdled in my gut. I scrolled back. Months of radio silence. Then this. Dad's campaign tanked after some lobbyist scandal. Mom's real estate flips went belly up in the 22 crash. Scarlet? Last I heard, she was consulting in LA, which probably meant influencer grifts and bad Botox. I didn't reply. Instead, I pulled a file. Yeah, I keep one. Digital and dog-eared. Timelines of her fuck-ups I never aired. The fire. The Yale dropout after she accidentally plagiarized her thesis. The DUI that Daddy's fixer buried with a fat check. But this was new. By noon, my assistant buzzed. Violet, there's folks here. From your family? I glanced at the security feed, Mom and Dad, looking like they'd slept in their Volvo. Scarlet trailing with that same doe-eyed pout. A lawyer shark in loafers. I met them at the gate. The rain starting up like old times, misting the gravel into mud. Mom's eyes. Once steel, now watery and rimmed red.
Vi.
Honey. We're in a bind. The old house foreclosed. Scarlet's boy, your nephew, he needs stability. Nephew. Jesus. She'd spawned with some venture capital douche who bailed when the prenup hit. Dad cleared his throat, all politician polish cracking. The firm's insolvent. But this place, your designs. The land, it's got our name on the deed somewhere.
Right?
Early investment. Bullshit. I'd bought it cash from a timber widow who'd lost her husband to a mill accident. No family strings. Scarlet stepped forward, rain beating on her perfect blowout. Come on.
Vi.
Twins forever? Remember the pact.
The pact.
Pinky swear at 10. Blood brothers style. To always cover each other's asses. I'd honored it once.
She?
Never. I laughed. A bark that echoed off the bluff. Pack's dead.
Scar.
Died the night you let them boot me for your golden pussy. Her face crumpled. Real tears or theater? Who knows? The lawyer droned about emotional distress claims, some half-baked suit alleging I'd alienated the family by cutting contact. Alienated. As if I hadn't begged for scraps in postcards they burned. That night, alone with Lena's ghost in the sheets, I plotted. Not the explosive kind, no Molotovs for this Violet. This was surgical. The slow bleed that leaves you begging for the knife. Revenge isn't a bonfire, it's termites in the foundation. First call, my PI. Ex-cop named Ruiz, who owed me for a pro bono rebuild after his divorce. Dig, I said. Everything. And I mean everything. What he unearthed over the next week was a goddamn anthology of sins. Scarlett hadn't just dodged the fire fallout, she'd leveraged it. While I rotted in juvie, she sold the trauma story to a true crime podcaster anonymous source. Of course, raking residuals that funded her first condo. Dad's campaign? She ghost-wrote the attack ads, including one smearing a rival as a youth predator, code for what Chad almost became. And the nephew, little Theo, 8 now, not just needing stability. Kid's got leukemia. Stage 3. And the GoFundMe's a joke, 10 grand against $500,000 in treatments. Mom's dipping into retirement. Dad's hawking signed memorabilia on eBay. But the kicker? The deed bullshit. Turns out, in a haze of elder abuse and bad scotch, Dad had forged a quitclaim on my land, dated back to my juvie days, claiming I'd abandoned family assets. It wouldn't hold in court, statutes ironclad. But the threat?
It was a shakedown.
Pure and simple. They wanted me to buy them out, fork over the house as reparations for the suffering I'd caused. I drove into Seattle that Friday, the Volvo's wipers slapping like accusations. Met them at the old house, or what was left, a chain-link ghost fenced off by bank vultures. Scarlett hugged me first, too tight, her perfume cloying like funeral lilies. You came. I knew you would. Theo clung to her leg, bald head gleaming under the sodium lamps, eyes huge and trusting. My gut twisted, innocent in this shit show, collateral like I was. We talked in the den, ghosts of laughter echoing off empty walls. Mom poured weak tea, Dad monologued about healing fractures. Scarlett played the sob card. Vi,
Tesha's Gans.
they're bad. This place, your place, it's got that wellness vibe. Retreat center? We could turn it into something for kids like him. Retreat center. My blood roared. The house wasn't a hotel, it was my scar tissue. Every nail, a no to their yes-men world. I let them pitch, nodding like a bobblehead, until the lawyer slid the papers over. Sign over the deed. Walk away with clean slate.
Clean.
As if ink could bleach the rain from my bones. What's in it for me? I asked, voice steady as rebar. Dad blinked. Family?
V.
That's the win. I signed. Not the deed, the addendum Ruiz had slipped in, a countersuit for fraud, elder manipulation. The works. But they didn't know that. As pen scratched, Scarlett squeezed my hand. Twins forever? I smiled, teeth bared. Forever's a long time.
Scar.
Driving back to the Olympics that night, The forged quitclaim burning a hole in my glove box. I felt the old rage simmer, not the wildfire kind, but the peat bog glow that eats roots from below. Lena was waiting, fire crackling in the hearth, her dark eyes reading me like a blueprint. "You okay?" she murmured, pulling me down onto the rug, her fingers tracing the tattoo on my ribcage, a phoenix mid-flame, inked in Portland after my first solo build. I told her everything, words tumbling like loose gravel. She listened.
No judgment.
Just that quiet fury she saves for hypocrites. They're leeches.
Vi. Kucing Lucy.
But cutting wasn't clean anymore. Theo's face haunted me, those eyes. Mirror of Scarlett's at 12. Before the polish. By dawn.
Ide takstarwith. Dape.
The kid. What came back was a gut-punch dossier, Scarlett's consulting gig, shilling unvetted stem cell treatments to desperate parents, preying on forums like Cancer Mom Warriors. One whistleblower email. Buried in discovery, your sister's peddling snake oil for her cut. Theo's on the real meds, hers are placebo fluff. And Dad? Not just forging deeds, he dipped into Mom's IRA for campaign debts, leaving her with pennies and pills for her creeping dementia. I could have gone nuclear then, leak the files to the PIS, watch the headlines swallow them whole. Seattle Scion's arson cover-up exposed, twin sisters' revenge. But that'd torch Theo, too. The kid caught in crossfire, he didn't start.
No.
This needed finesse. The kind that leaves you smiling while the floor drops. I called in favors. First, my architect buddy Jax, who owed me for ghost designing his firm's award winner.
Hypothetical, I said.
How do you bury a building in liens without a trace? By Monday, the retreat pitch was live. Scarlett's baby, rebranded as Haven House, sanctuary for pediatric warriors. She CC'd me on the pitch deck. All glossy renders of my bluff as a yoga pavilion, for poles blending with ferns. Your vision. Our heart. The email cooed. I forwarded to my attorney, a pitbull named Carla, who'd clawed her way from Bronx projects to Harvard Law. File the injunction, I typed. And the countersuit.
Quiet.
The hearing hit like a Nor'wester federal court in Tacoma, all polished wood and whispered stakes. Mom didn't show, dementia haze. Scarlett claimed. Dad blustered in an ill-fitting suit, Scarlett beside him in Lululemon armor. Theo mercifully at home with a sitter. The judge, a no-nonsense Latina with salt and pepper braids, eyed the quitclaim like it was toxic waste. MS. Hargrove, she drawled to me. Your family's alleging abandonment. Care to respond? I stood, heart hammering like a nail gun. Your Honor. Abandonment? They abandoned me at 17 for her. I nodded at Scarlett, who flushed rose petal pink. The courtroom held its breath as I laid it bare. The fire. The confession. The rain-soaked box.
Notaires, dry facts.
Timestamps from juvie logs. Emails I'd FOIA'd years back. Gasps rippled. The reporter in the back row scribbled like mad. Scarlett's lawyer objected. Irrelevant character assassination. But the judge waved him off. Overruled. This goes to intent. Dad's face crumpled mid-bluster, a vein throbbing at his temple. Violet. This is family business, he hissed during recess, cornering me by the vending machine. Scarlett hovered, wringing her hands like a Victorian heroine.
Vi. Please.
Theo's counts are dropping. We need this.
Need.
The word was a blade. You needed me once, I said, voice low. to take the fall. Now, you're welcome to the scraps. I walked, heels clicking like countdowns, leaving them to Carla's closing. Fraud, perjury, emotional duress piled higher than their lies. We won, sort of. Injunction granted. Countersuit greenlit for discovery. But victory tasted like ash. Theo's GoFundMe ticked up overnight. Strangers moved by the inspiring twin tale Scarlet spun on TikTok. Betrayed by blood. Building for my boy. Views, 2.3 million. Comments slay.
Queen.
And what a bitch your sister is. Polarized already. The internet choosing sides like it's fantasy football. Back home, the house felt heavier, its lines sharper against the slate sky. Lena cooked wild salmon from the co-op, quinoa pilaf with foraged mushrooms, trying to ground me. You're doing the right thing, she said over wine, her foot hooking mine under the table. But right? In America's meritocracy myth, where bootstraps are gospel and family ties chafing ropes. Who decides? I'd built this on my back. Sweat equity, queen of the Cascades. They wanted a handout wrapped in guilt. Yet Theo's chemo bills mocked me for my feed. Pixelated pleas from a kid who'd never asked to be born into the circus. That's when the flip started, Scarlet's specialty. Chameleon skin shedding for survival. Wednesday. A bouquet arrived. Lilies. My least favorite. With a card in her loopy script. Truce? Coffee in the city?
For old times.
I almost trashed it. But Ruiz buzzed. She's lawyering up separate. Divorce filing against the VCX, alleging abuse. Custody play for leverage. Clever girl. Weaponize the victim card. Drag me into the narrative as the heartless harpy blocking healing. I met her at a neutral spot, Pike Place. The market's bustle, a buffer against intimacy. She looked wrecked. No makeup. Hair in a messy bun. Nursing a flat white like it was hemlock.
Vi.
I know I fucked up. The fire. I was scared. A kid. Her eyes. Mirror of mine.
Brimmed.
But Theo, he's us. You know, the good parts. Good parts. I sipped my Americano. Bloskas my muet. Us. There was never us.
Scar.
You were the star. I was the stagehand. She flinched. But rallied, always did. That's not fair. I visited you in juvie. Brought books. Lies. Sweet as saccharin. The log said otherwise. 0 visits. 0 calls. But I let it slide. Probing instead. The retreat. What's the real angle? She hesitated. Then cracked. Mom's fading fast. Dad's broke. I found investors. For the land. Investors. Plural. I leaned in.
Who?
A name dropped. Harlan. Chad Harlan. All grown up. Tech VC now. Scars from the fire faded, but grudge eternal. He reached out, Scarlet whispered. Said he'd fund the whole thing, millions, if we deliver your deed. Clean.
Chad.
The ghost I'd buried under layers of concrete. He'd clawed his way to unicorn status. Some fintech darling peddling crypto loans to the desperate. And now, circling back, a shark-smelling chum. Tell him no, I said.
Standing.
But as I walked away, her voice trailed. Vi. Wait, he knows about the roofies. The real story.
Threat.
Veiled. Velvet-gloved. My phone buzzed en route home. Anonymous email. Subject family secrets. Attached, a grainy photo. Me at 17. Dousing Chad's car with gas. Forged? Or did she have a witness? Some lookout I'd forgotten? The rage crested then, not blind, but laser-focused. Time to flip the board. I called Jax again. Make the liens ironclad. Then Carla, subpoena Harlan. And Lena? She held me that night. Our bodies a tangle of what-ifs. Her breath steady against my chaos. Whatever comes, you're not alone. But alone was my origin story. The eviction's gift. And in the dark, with the sound whispering below, I wondered if revenge was just eviction in reverse, boots on necks, rain on the unwanted. The scheme unfolded like a slow demolition, controlled, inevitable. First, the liens filed under environmental easements, tying the land to protected wetlands I'd discovered via a bribed surveyor. Legit enough to stall any sale, shady enough to spook investors. Harlan's team balked when Carla's subpoena landed, demanding his emails from that night, Mustang mishap. Time-stamped 10:47 p.m. Turns out, Chad had no deed clean. He'd blacked out, woken to flames, and pieced enough to suspect Scarlett. But me? I'd been the fall guy, and he'd nursed the grudge quiet, waiting for leverage. Scarlett called that Thursday, voice shrill over speaker. What the fuck?
V.
The investors pulled. Theo's treatments. I cut her off. Blame your enabler.
Scar.
Or better, the truth. Silence. Then a sob, real this time. Jagged. I can't. It'd destroy us all.
Destroy.
The word hung. By Friday, Dad showed solo, unannounced, pounding the gate like a debtor. I buzzed him up, watched from the deck as he huffed the path. Suit rumpled, eyes bloodshot. Violet, enough. This vendetta, it's killing your mother. Dementia, he claimed, accelerated by stress. Bullshit metric, but it landed. He slumped into an Adirondack, hands trembling. Sign the deed. We'll cut you in 20%.
20.
Chump change for my blood. Dad, I said, voice even. Remember the campaign? Family first. Always. You preached it from pulpits. Then you chose her. He deflated, confessions spilling like cheap bourbon. She was the heir.
Vi.
The charmer.
You.
You were too much like me, stubborn. The fighter. We thought you'd bounce back.
Bounce.
As if juvie springboards. I poured him scotch, top shelf. Peaty from the sideboard. Tell me the secret, I pressed. The one you buried deeper than the fire. His eyes darted, then fixed on the sound. The accident. Before you girls. Your aunt, my sister, she drove drunk.
Killed a pedestrian.
I covered it. Paid off the family. Sealed the records. Scarlett. She found out. Used it to keep us in line. Auntie Lena, no relation to my Lena. Irony's knife twist. Dead at 25. A ghost story we'd never heard.
Pedestrian?
Some undocumented farmhand. Vanished into bureaucracy. Scarlett, at 15, had hacked Dad's files. Held the grenade pin. That's why the fire cover, leverage on leverage. A house of cards greased with guilt. I didn't rage. Just nodded. Filing it. Get out, I said finally. Before I add this to the suit, he left at dusk. Silhouette shrinking against the tide. And I felt the fracture widen, not in him.
But me.
Was this revenge or recursion? Sins echoing like bad reverb? The climax brewed over the next fortnight. A pressure cooker of depositions and dodged calls. The kind of tension that snaps America in half, truth versus tribe, blood versus spillable hours. Carla's team unearthed gold, Chad's emails, laced with venom, plotting with Scarlett to reclaim what Violet stole, not just land, but dignity. The narrative of victimhood he'd sold to Silicon Valley therapy circles. She burned my future. One red. Now I burn hers. Poetic, if psychotic. Scarlett's flip was masterful. Mid-discovery, she lawyered up against Dad, alleging parental coercion in the Fire cover, positioning herself as the reformed whistleblower. Press ate it up. Twin betrayal. Seattle heiress turns on tycoon father? My name trended. Hashtag Violet vindication clashing with Save Theo. I stayed silent. Burrowing into work, a new build in Bend. Off-grid cabin for a crypto widow. All reclaimed whiskey barrels and smart glass. Lena flew down. Her graphic design gig wrapping early. And we hiked the Deschutes. Her hand in mine a tether. You're splitting yourself, she said one night. Stars pricking the high desert sky. This war, it's her.
Not you.
True, but half. The betrayal wasn't just Scarlett's, it was the system's wink at golden children. The way juvie chews the poor while trust fund arsonists get slaps. My house, symbol of that flip, the bootstraps myth made manifest, now under siege by the very blood that cut me loose. The showdown hit Labor Day weekend. Uninvited guests storming the bluff like a bad sequel. I'd spotted the convoy on the security cams, Dad's old Volvo, Scarlett's rented Tesla, Chad's matte black Cybertruck gleaming like a middle finger. Theo in tow, pale and pixie-cropped, clutching a stuffed orca. And Mom, frail as tissue, wheeled by a nurse, eyes vacant but pleading. Backup, Harlan's goons, 2 suits with earpieces, and a process server clutching papers. Eviction 2.0. Irony dialed to 11. I met them at the gate. Lena at my shoulder, her presence a steel beam. Rain lashed horizontal, turning the drive to slurry. Scarlett led, chin high, script flipped to martyr.
Vi.
We're done playing. The lien's illegal. Chad's team traced Tearshell Company. Sign. Or we foreclose. Foreclose. On my deed, bluster. But laced with teeth, Harlan's war chest. Deep as Mariana. Dad hovered, supporting Mom's chair, his voice a rasp. For the boy, Violet. End this. Theo peeked from behind Scarlett's legs, whispering, And Vi, is this our new home? Home. The word gutted me. Fresh wound. Mom reached a trembling hand. My girl. Forgive. Dementia or not. Her eyes held a flicker. The woman who'd baked us snickerdoodles. Before the fractures. Chad stepped up then, all 6'4" of venture vampire swagger. Salt-flecked beard framing a smile like a shark's. MS. Hargrove. Pleasure. Still sketching fires. Low blow. But I met it. Mr.
Harlan.
Still doping frat boys. His laugh barked, but eyes narrowed, old grudge. New stakes. The air crackled. Readers were there, picking sides in real time. Scarlett, victim of patriarchy, fighting for her spawn. Chad, survivor reclaiming justice.
Me?
The villain hoarding empire. Denying a dying kid his due. Lena squeezed my arm. Your call? I scanned them. The family I'd forged from splinters. Versus the one I'd fled. Then Theo coughed. Wet and ragged. And the scales tipped. Inside, I said, buzzing the gate. Talk. They piled into the great room. Fire roaring. Sound thundering beyond glass walls. I poured drinks, scotch for the adults. Hot cocoa for the kid, stalling as Carla texted, back up inbound. Hold. We circled the island, tension thick as fog. Scarlet pitched hard. Dissolve the liens. Co-sign the retreat. Equity split 60-40 her way. For Theo. And us, reconciliation. Chad nodded, adding, I'll drop the claims. Clean slate.
Clean.
Again. I glanced at Mom, dozing in the armchair. Then Theo, slurping cocoa with wide-eyed wonder at the model of my first build on the shelf. Aunt Vi made that, he asked, pointing. With her hands, pride swelled.
Bitter.
Yeah.
Kid.
From nothing. That's when I flipped it, not with words, but action. I slid the real papers across. Full settlement. Deed transfer not to them, but a trust. For Theo. Irrevocable. Managed by neutral trustees. Funds earmarked for medical. Education. No touchy-feely family access. The house. Lease back to Violet builds for a peppercorn rent. My designs intact.
Take it, I said.
But not for you, for him. And the truth comes out. All of it. Podcast. Press release. Whatever. No more ghosts. Chaos erupted. Scarlet shrieked. You can't. Lunging for the pages. Chad snarled. Blackmail. Dad froze. Face ashen. Mom stirred, murmuring, My girls. Theo just watched, confused, as Lena herded him to the deck with promises of orca stories. The goons shifted, but Carla's cavalry arrived, sheriff's deputies. Lights flashing blue through the rain, enforcing the injunction. Hauling Harlan's muscle for trespass. Scarlet rounded on me. Face feral. You bitch. After everything, Theo's mine. She swung wild. Nails raking my cheek. Drawing blood like punctuation. I didn't flinch. Just held her gaze. Everything? You mean the nothing you gave back? Deputies cuffed her. Assault charge. Misdemeanor but sticky, while Dad begged. Violet. No, family, family. The word shattered then. Shards embedding deep. As they dragged her out, rain swallowing screams, Chad spat. This isn't over. You'll burn. Poetic echo. I watched them go. Convoy splintering into the night. Mom wheeled silent to the Volvo. Theo waved from the back seat. Tiny hand a question mark. Lena bandaged my scratch later. Her touch gentle. You gave them the win? Not quite. The trust? Ironclad. But with clauses, annual audits. Public disclosures of the fire. The roofies. The forgeries. Scarlet's grifts exposed. Chad's vendetta lit for all. They'd have the house, but not the narrative. Readers? Divided down the middle. Justice for Violet trending with Team Scarlet. Debates raging on who deserved the empire, the betrayed builder or the broken mother. I poured us bourbon, clinking glasses to the storm. Win's relative, I said. She kissed me.
Fierce.
You survived. Survival. America's holy grail. But at what cost? The aftermath unspooled like a bad acid trip, slow, surreal, laced with what-ifs that clawed at dawn. By Tuesday, the story broke wide. Twin flames. Seattle architect evicts family in epic feud over cancer kid's legacy. Subhead: Betrayal or Justice? You decide. The internet, that coliseum of snap judgments, erupted, Substacks dissecting my ruthless ambition, Reddit threads canonizing Scarlett as flawed but fierce, TikToks remixing the gate standoff with sad violin swells. Chad lawyered up harder. Countersuit alleging defamation. But Carla shredded it in motions. His emails were self-incriminating dynamite. Scarlett? Released on bail. She went nuclear, live from the ER. Theo's latest scare. Tear-streaked plea. My sister's stealing our future. Help us fight. Donations surged. Enough for one more round of chemo.
Me?
I retreated to the build site in Bend. Hammer in hand, Lena sketching elevations beside me. The cabin rose defiant, green roof blooming sedum. Walls breathing with smart vents, a microcosm of my manifesto. Build resilient, or don't build at all. But the calls came relentless. Reporters sniffing exclusives. Old high school ghosts demanding knew you were psycho. Even Ruiz with a tip. Scarlett's pitching a book. Your side. Villain edition. I ghosted them all, letting the trust tick like a bomb. First disbursement hit. $50K for Theo's proton therapy. Wired direct to Seattle Children's. No thanks. No strings, just quiet absolution. Mom passed a month later. Mid-October. Leaves turning the Olympics to fire. Hospice called. Scarlett's number blocked mine. I drove anyway. The bluff a blur of gold and gray. The old house, no. My house. Leased but laced with their ghosts, sat shuttered. Retreat plans stalled by liens and lawsuits. Dad met me at the door. Hollowed out. Offering weak tea in the kitchen where we'd baked disasters as kids. She asked for you, he said. Voice cracking. At the end. Dementia dreams. Probably. Halcyon lies of unbroken twins. We buried her in the family plot. Drizzle polite. Mourner sparse. Cousins I'd ghosted. Dad's ex-aides. Scarlett showed late. Theo in a tiny suit. Her eyes puffy but defiant. No words, just a stare across the grave. Electric with unspoken verdicts. As dirt pattered on mahogany, I felt the twist coil, not mine, but hers. She'd flipped again. This time to Survivor Saint. Her book deal ballooning on the sympathy wave. Burned twice. A mother's reckoning. Advance. Low six figures. My name? The Foil. The architect of absence. Winter hit hard. Snow blanketing the sound like amnesia. Lena and I hosted Thanksgiving vegan turkey. Queer found family orbiting the fire pit. Toasts to survival. But my mind wandered to the trust reports. Theo stable. Remission whispers.
Good. Clean win? Nah.
Chad's suit dragged. Discovery dredging his own skeletons. Sexual harassment payouts. A 16 assault charge buried deep. He folded pre-trial. Settlement sealed. But the stink lingered. Dad vanished to Arizona. Consulting for a think tank. Radio silence his apology. New Year's. Scarlett's book dropped. Bestseller bait. Oprah adjacent. I cracked the spine in a Barnes and Noble. Lena distracting with lattes. Pages dripped venom and varnish. Me as the shadow twin. Jealous from the womb. Torching Chad out of spite. Hoarding the house like a dragon's hoard. The fire? A youthful mistake. Covered by love gone toxic. No mention of roofies. The aunt's ghost crime. Twist. She ended with forgiveness. A coda of healing horizons. Theo's smile on the jacket flap. Readers lapped it empowering, clashing with lies. In reviews. Debate fodder. Just as I'd engineered. But the mirror it held? Unflattering as hell. I didn't sue. No point. Truth's a boomerang.
Comes back blunted.
Instead, I wrote my own, not a book, but a TEDx talk. Building from betrayal. Why we evict our own. Seattle stage. Spotlights hot. Crowd a mix of techies and trauma survivors. I laid it bare. The rain. The box. The hammer swings, ending with a trust. Revenge?
Nah.
Reparations. For the kid who didn't choose the circus. Applause thundered. But the Q&A twisted. Was it fair to expose them? Should blood trump justice? No answers. Just shrugs, America's favorite pastime. Moral mud wrestling. Spring thawed the bluff. Cherry blossoms mocking the scars. Theo's first post-remission visit came unannounced, Scarlett's olive branch.
Or ploy.
He arrived with a drawing. The house as a castle. Me as queen with a hammer crown. Mom says sorry, he mumbled. Kicking gravel. For the yelling. I knelt. Ruffled his regrowth. Tell her it's okay. Castles need moats. She watched from the Tesla, silhouette wary, then drove off, no truce. But truce enough. Lena proposed that summer. Ring forged from recycled steel. On the deck at sunset. Build with me? She asked. Eyes like home. Yes. 1,000 times. The house stands still. Leased but mine. Retreat now a reality. Neutral org running it for kids like Theo. My design's the backbone. Scarlett thrives in LA. Book tour glow. Chad's fund cratered in a crypto bust. Poetic. Dad sends postcards. And signed.
Me?
I build on, bigger. Bolder. The eviction's echo fading to footnote.
But the twist?
It lingers in quiet moments.
Like now.
Sketching blueprints by lamplight. Was it revenge or redemption? Happy ending or hubris? Handing them the keys wrapped in thorns? Readers, hell. Even I still argue it over beers. In America's funhouse mirror. No one's all right or all wrong. Just survivors. Swinging hammers at shadows. Hoping the next nail holds. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real legacy, not the house, but the fight to build it anyway.